The American flag represents a living country and is itself considered a living thing. Wow. Hello and welcome back to My Iron is Broken, and I've got a video to film. My name is Edinger. In today's video, we're talking about flag code, most particularly US flag code. Also, by the way, yes, my iron is actually broken. I was looking through comments to see what intro to use, and everyone seems to be talking about my wrinkly shirt last week. Sure, it was wrinkly. Can you believe I ironed it? I actually spent this freaking day ironing another shirt to wear, and I just checked the clip and it was wrinkled, so I put this one on because it can't wrinkle. I need a new iron. Hey, shouldn't be that much money. I could get one on Amazon. Iron enough to get that. Hey, boom! So in a video last week, I talked about how the US has a weird sense of moth. Oh, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. No. Get. I won that war. He's dead. Also, what are your thoughts on me wearing a hat in videos? I don't know how I look. I don't know if I'm exposed well. The hair, it's uncontrollable. So for those of you unaware, I grew up in the States. How are you unaware of that at this point? But also, not only did I grow up in the States, I grew up going to your mom's house every day to steal some of her delicious baked goods. I was in the Boy Scouts of America. Now, the Boy Scouts of America is a very patriotic group. I have no regrets. I actually quite enjoyed my time in the Boy Scouts. I liked camping. I liked learning life-saving skills, tying knots, all that fun stuff. But also, one of the big things we learned was America. We just learned America. That's what we learned. This is America. 7-letter word, America. Done. Learned. The Eagle Scout got the award. No, but the Boy Scouts of America are a very patriotic organization. So I learned a huge amount about the flag. And so whenever some friends of mine are talking about like, why is the US the way it is in terms of flag worshiping and in terms of this and that? And I had mentioned in a video last week about how it's not technically legal to even have merch that has a US flag on it. And people were like, what does that even mean? So today's video, we're talking about that. The US flag code, which is codified in law, just pertaining to the US flag. I suppose it does make sense for a flag to have a certain statute of laws surrounding it, so that way you have one banner that represents you, but it goes a bit deeper than that. And so to start off, this is the United States Code, Title 4, Chapter 1. Flag, stripes and stars on. The flag of the United States shall be 13 horizontal stripes, alternate red and white, and the union of the flag shall be 50 stars representing the 50 states, white in a blue field. And of course, you all know the 13 stripes represents the 13 original colonies, the 50 stars, the 50 current states, and the colors also symbolic. Red represents hardiness and valor. White symbolizes White represents purity and innocence, and blue represents perseverance and justice. Now, a big debate recently has been, what if we're going to admit another state into the Union? What are we gonna do about this flag? And some people seem really hell-bent on never changing the flag, which is silly. It's changed so many times. The number of stars is supposed to represent the number of states. A lot of other countries don't have to worry about this. They don't have a number of stars or anything like that, but there is a specific law regarding this, which means when we add a new state to the Union, another star will be added. That's it. It's easy. Easy pie. However, it's only added on the 4th of July. And then if there's another one added after that, you just wait till the next 4th of July. Fair. Super patriotic. And here's where it starts to get interesting. So section 3, we have here the use of flag for advertising purposes and mutilation of the flag. Now this is quite a long section, which basically boils down to, do not put something else on the flag, like any type of logo, any type of symbol or sign, especially for advertising purposes. And if you do that and it's mistaken for an American flag by the common person, you're gonna get sued. You're not gonna get sued, but you're gonna get a $100 fine or go to prison. I think that's fair enough, I guess. Maybe that's the extra American to me, but it's like, don't do thing to flag. If you do, you get fined. Now, there is a lot of American flag merch, but I don't know if this necessarily covers that. That might be somewhere later in the code, but that's just my interpretation of this. This is quite a lot of old legal jargon. All right, next up. So we have a code of law here for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and the manner of delivery. Okay, freedom of speech, sure. You got First Amendment rights, but you better know how to pledge allegiance the correct way. The pledge allegiance to the flag, of course, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm about to get shot, so I moved my hand a bit. You should keep that right there. Now, one of those things you might not realize, that I didn't realize until I read this code, whenever you see any American film that takes place in like a sports arena, some football stadium or a baseball stadium, you'll notice that whenever everyone stands for the Pledge of Allegiance or whenever anyone stands for the national anthem, the hats, right? They go right over the hearts. That's very sweet. How do they all know to do that? It's in the law, all right? That is coded in. If you are wearing any type of headdress, you take that off, you swing it around, boom. knocked my laptop. That is now on your heart. I didn't know that was codified. I thought that was just, oh, convenient. I thought people could take their hats off, switch hands, do this without the hat. No, you gotta hold that hat. That's fascinating that that's actually in here. Also, if you're in the military, no hand over heart. You've actually gotta upgrade. Whoop! You gotta salute. You got the full military salute. Or if you're in the Boy Scouts, you got 3 fingers, 3-finger salute. Or if you're in the Cub Scouts, you got 2-finger salute, okay? I know this stuff. Now, of course, as well, if you're going to be saying the pledge, you should be standing up. And so in American schools, when you do the pledge, it is done standing up. You do not sit down. Usually there's an announcement on the loudspeaker. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. Blah, 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 blah. And everyone goes through every day without fail. Or you hate your country and are a traitor. Wish I were kidding. Now the next section talks about when and where you can actually display the American flag. And so it says it is a universal custom to display the flag only from sunrise to sunset on buildings with stationary flag staffs out in the open. However, for a patriotic effect, you can display it 24 hours as long as you have that flag illuminated, okay? If you got that flag going 24 hours, you need to have a light on it at all times. That's the only way you're allowed to do it after sundown. Now you might think, what the heck? That's really weird. That is also a custom in a lot of other countries. The UK has the same rule. I know that when I learned when you were putting up the flag, it's right at sunrise. You hoist it up real fast, let that boy sail, and then when it's time at the end of the day, sunset going down, pull that thing down slowly. You're sad, okay? You don't want to have to do it, but you're excited for the next day that you can raise it back up and salute. I'm trying to say this seriously, but in a joking manner, but that is actually the law. I actually just talked about the next section without reading it there. The flag should be hoisted briskly and lowered ceremoniously. Like I said, it is because you are supposed to be like, hooray, it's America time. And then as soon as the sun goes down, boo, and you do it really slowly. You got taps on a trumpet or a little bugle over in the corner, and then you gotta fold it up in a very particular manner. If you know how to play paper football, it's the same exact thing. Fold it 2 times in a rectangle, make sure it never touches the ground. Fold it triangle over triangle until the very end. Hold it against your chest, turn, have 2 people with rifles as a color guard, and they follow you out as taps plays. Boom. Now this, of course, was my experience at summer camp, but as you can tell, it is codified. You know, this is law when it comes to flag, and so all buildings that have flags up are supposed to be doing it in this exact same manner. Then we have a list of the days which the flag should be displayed, which is pretty long. We got New Year's, Inauguration Day, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, 3rd Monday in January. If you didn't know, he's always born on the 3rd Monday in January. It's actually just the day they celebrate it. I think it's just for a bank holiday reason. We've got Easter Sunday, variable. And as you can tell, there's a lot of flipping holidays here. Also birthdays in the States. You got city holidays. Just hoist the flag up. It's gonna be up like at least 90% of the year anyway. Next, you gotta make sure that the US flag is displayed every single day, daily, at any main administration building of every public institution. Also needs to be displayed in or near every polling place on election days. Fair. And the flag should be displayed during school days in or near every schoolhouse. Now maybe it was just every school I went to, but not only did we have that stereotypical flagpole with the US flag on top of the school and one in the front of the school, but every single classroom also had a US flag in the corner, so of course we could salute it every day. If YouTube hadn't taken away polls at this point, I would be asking you if this happened to you. We'll never know. Well, to be fair, next Thursday's video is going to be a community video based on this one, so please leave me your experiences and you'll be in that video, but I'm carrying on. And the next section is quite long, and it goes over the position and manner of display of the US flag. Now, you might not have noticed this if you've ever visited the States and seen a large group of flags, but if they're in a line, the leftmost flag that you can see when you're walking up to a building is usually the flag that has the most honor. It's the most honorable position. In the US, that position is specifically reserved for the US flag. Now, if there's only one flagpole, that means that the US flag has to be the highest flag that is on that flagpole, and then you've got state flags and such underneath. Texans, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Texas is the only state that is allowed to fly their flag at the same level, if not higher, than the American flag. As a fun American fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain I learned that due to the fact that Texas used to be its own country, entered the Union on its own terms, something like that. I didn't grow up in Texas. I don't know much history about it, but I think I learned that much. Now, I think it's important to get a little perspective here because we're just talking about US flag code, and you might be thinking, oh, this sounds a bit ridiculous. Not quite. These are customs that are mostly things around the world for a lot of different cultures. For instance, in the UK, they have very similar flag code to the US in regards to the position of honor. The UK's flag always should be viewed the leftmost position when you have a procession of flags. It's the position with the most honor. Now, in regards to Germany's position on this whole thing, I find this one quite interesting. So the first position, no, not the German flag, the UN flag. But the second position is the EU flag, okay? But then, of course, the third one is actually the position where the visiting ambassador's flag is. If there's like an important dignitary visiting Germany and they want to have him there, well, they'll just have his country flag next. And then you've got the German official flag and then the state flags, which is so fascinating that in the US and the UK, they're like, our flag is best flag, it go far left. And Germany, they're like, you know what? We got the UN, we got the EU, and you're visiting, we want you to feel loved. We love you, come on in. And then you got German flag. It really does show Germany's anti-nationalist, pro-EU, pro-togetherness mantra that they've really got going on for themselves. I wouldn't have known that without researching it for this video, so it's just fascinating. Now, another interesting part of the flag code, which I know isn't just US-centric, I know the UK also practices this practice, which revolves around half-mast. Now, you'd think, when a flag's a half-mast, when a dignitary dies, or if a leader has passed away and you have the flag half-mast, just raise the half-mast. Actually, no. The common practice is you hoist it all the way to the top of the mast as standard, and then slowly bring it down to half-mast. And then at the end of the day, when it's time to retire the colors, you then raise it back up to the top and then back down. Just one of those little extra things you might not have known about the flag, which I find interesting. Now, if you've ever seen anything about a funeral of a US soldier, you'll know that the caskets of the soldiers are usually covered in an American flag. What you might not realize is that that US flag is not actually lowered into the ground with the casket. It's removed prior, because that would be disrespectful to the flag. And the next section is the one you'll probably find the most intriguing. We've got respect for the flag. Now, just so you know, First Amendment, freedom of speech, you're allowed to do whatever you want in the US, but also codified in law is respect for the flag. So section 1, the flag should never be displayed with the Union down except as a signal of dire distress in instances of extreme danger to life or property. Now, as much extensive knowledge of the flag from Boy Scouts as I've had, I didn't know you were legally allowed to have it upside down when in dire distress. Okay, the flag should never touch anything beneath it, such as the ground, the floor, water, merchandise. You guys wanna buy my shirts? Gotta keep the flag away. But that's actually true. Anything horizontal, basically, flag cannot touch. When you're carrying the flag with people, you need to be holding it. It cannot touch the ground. But Evan, what if it touches the ground, you might ask? Burn it! You gotta ceremoniously burn the flag. We'll get more into the official burning of the flags later. The flag should never be carried flat or horizontally, but always aloft and free. That is codified here. The flag should never be used as wearing apparel, bedding, or drapery. So any of you that have American flag shirts, you're breaking the law. Genuinely. The flag should never be used as a covering for a ceiling. It's just not allowed. The flag should never be used as a receptacle for receiving, holding, carrying, or delivering anything. Do not use the flag to pick anything up. The flag must be free. And here's one that might raise your eyebrows a little bit. The flag should never be used for advertising purposes in any manner whatsoever. It should not be embroidered on such articles such as cushions or handkerchiefs and the like, printed or otherwise, impressed on paper napkins or boxes, or anything that is designed for temporary use to discard. I genuinely think we have some US flag napkins in the house right now. Now this right here is a paper plate, a disposable paper plate I used for 4th of July celebrations that I had in the UK. However, according to US flag code, this is not legal, especially because it is disposable. After you're done with it, you throw it away. And also, you're putting stuff on it. Don't forget, nothing is meant to go on the flag or the flag's design. Then we go into detail about how no part of the flag should be part of a costume or athletic uniform except a small flag patch that's used on military personnel. Or Boy Scouts, we also had a small little flag patch. And lastly, if the flag, when it's in such a condition that it is no longer a fitting emblem for display, should be destroyed in a dignified way, preferably by burning. I know if you have a tattered flag that requires burning and needs to be retired, there are a couple troops that you can just take it to, Boy Scout troops that will perform a ceremonious burning to respectfully get rid of the flag. But just this alone, you can tell like respect for the flag is codified in the law. And this is why so many Americans get so outraged at simple things such as peaceful protests or people burning the flag, and then it becomes this huge thing because the American flag represents a living country and is itself considered a living thing. Wow. So when you are burning an American flag, to a lot of people that believe in this law, that is an American law, You are burning a living thing. You are basically murdering a piece of fabric that's alive and free. It's hard for me to take this seriously. So if ever you're questioning why Americans are the way they are in regards to the flag, just know there's a lot of laws around it. They consider it a living thing. It's a really rough territory. It used to represent a lot more. Hopefully it can represent a lot more in the future. And a note I think I'd like to end this video on. Now I hope you can understand a bit more about why a lot of Americans are the way they are about this flag, about why it's so revered. The fact that we have to pledge allegiance to it every single day in school, at all sporting events, the fact that there's a codified law to respect the flag that is a living thing. Yet it does upset me, and I hope it upsets some of you, that there are people out there that view this piece of fabric, this living thing, as having more value and worth than actual living things. There are people out there in the US specifically dying at the moment from injustice every single day, and yet we're viewing this flag, this thing that's supposed to represent so many ideals, as more worthy. Absolutely not. It's horrible. It's horrible to think that. When did a flag deserve more life than a human being? Never. It shouldn't be like that. Like I said before, you can be proud of where you're from, but if you're not fighting against the injustice of your fellow man and everything that that flag is supposed to represent, you're not really that good of an American at all. I hope you guys are safe, and don't forget, next week's Thursday video is going to be a community video based on your comments on this one. So if you have any specific comments about US flag code, or particularly if the country you're from has a different flag code that you find interesting, please leave me comments below. We'll talk about it in next Thursday video. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.